Imagine this. You're floating in space, surrounded by absolute silence and emptiness. But then, on a wild impulse, you take off your helmet. Would that be your last move? Would your head explode? Sounds like something straight out of a movie, right? But reality is way more surprising, and maybe even scarier. Because, unlike what most people think, the biggest threat isn't the extreme cold or instant freezing, but an invisible and brutal force: zero pressure. This often overlooked detail can make your body react in unimaginable ways. So, what would really happen if you tried this crazy stunt? Let's dive into this fascinating mystery and explore step by step the real effects of a vacuum on the human body. Busting the instant freezing myth. When we think about space, we usually imagine that taking off your helmet would freeze you instantly. But that's just a myth that ignores something crucial. The vacuum has almost no molecules. Extreme cold is there, sure, but freezing depends on particles that absorb heat directly. Something space doesn't have. Without molecules to steal your body heat, you wouldn't freeze instantly. Instead, you'd lose energy in a much slower, more gradual way. In other words, the vacuum creates a strange situation where your body cools down in a controlled, even predictable way. In space, with no molecules around to transfer heat, your body only loses energy through radiation. A slower process. Imagine a thermos bottle. It keeps heat from escaping quickly because it's got a barrier against outside molecules. Space acts similarly, almost like it's protecting you from losing heat too fast. So, if you were exposed to the vacuum, you wouldn't turn into a popsicle right away. It'd be a slower, weirder process that proves the instant freezing myth in movies all wrong. How heat exchange works in space. Heat exchange in space works totally differently from what we know here on Earth. Here, convection and conduction transfer heat quickly between surfaces, whether through air, water, or solid objects. But in a vacuum, with no particles to conduct heat, energy loss happens only through radiation. This is slower because heat escapes the body as infrared light waves, so cooling down is a whole different concept in space. A process that unfolds without the speed we're used to on Earth. In practice, heat loss through radiation makes space pretty unique. The International Space Station, for instance, needs specific systems to regulate temperature, since neither heat nor cold dissipates like on Earth. So an astronaut exposed to the vacuum would experience a gradual cooling, not a sudden freeze. It's the absence of particles that creates this strange phenomenon, letting your body lose heat slowly and silently, revealing one of space's many quirks. Gradual exposure to space vacuum. Being exposed to the vacuum of space means experiencing a slow cooling process, unlike what we see in movies. With heat only lost through radiation, a person wouldn't freeze instantly, but would lose energy gradually. Because of this oddity, even without a helmet, your body would take a while to feel the extreme cold of space. Instead of freezing, you'd face a gradual slowdown in heat loss, which shows just how strangely patient space can be, until your body starts to give in. During this process, your internal temperature and bodily fluids stay stable for a few seconds before the vacuum really kicks in. The lack of pressure becomes a much bigger issue, but heat escapes slowly, with your body cooling down at a much slower rate than you'd think. This gradual exposure to the vacuum shows that the human body reacts differently than we'd expect. It's not an instant freeze, but rather an adaptation to a hostile, unique environment. The real danger in space: pressure. The lack of pressure is the biggest threat when you take off your helmet in space, not the cold. On Earth, we're used to atmospheric pressure that keeps our bodies safe. In the vacuum, that pressure is gone, and with no resistance, the fluids in your body try to expand, causing bubbles and distending blood vessels. Instead of freezing, your organs face internal pressure that does real damage, creating discomfort and even pain. To picture the effects of zero pressure, think of an opened bottle on a mountaintop. The liquid inside reacts to lower pressure and tries to escape quickly. This effect is way stronger in space, where there's zero pressure, making your bodily fluids want to expand, causing immediate damage. The cold is almost a side effect. The real problem is the lack of pressure, making space much more dangerous than it seems. The real story of the Soyuz 11 mission. The Soyuz 11 mission is a dramatic example of the dangers of space vacuum. In 1971, cosmonauts Georgy Dobrovolsky, Viktor Patsayev, and Vladislav Volkov were returning from the Salyut 1 space station. During re-entry, a malfunction depressurized their capsule, exposing them to the vacuum within seconds. Without pressurized suits, all three died from the vacuum and lack of pressure, not from cold. This tragic incident highlighted the need for strict protocols and special suits to ensure safety in space. After the Soyuz 11 incident, it became a lesson in space exploration, leading to protective suits for all future crews. Today, every space mission is built on these lessons, ensuring that astronauts and equipment are prepared for the vacuum's effects. It's a harsh reminder of how unforgiving space can be and how each advancement is built on challenges that test human survival and resilience. A real-life survival story in the vacuum, Jim LeBlanc. Jim LeBlanc's story is a rare and impressive case of survival in a vacuum. In 1965, during a test in a vacuum chamber at NASA, LeBlanc's suit malfunctioned, exposing him to the vacuum. He lost consciousness in seconds, but thanks to his team's quick action, he was saved just in time. When he regained consciousness, LeBlanc described a boiling sensation on his tongue, a strange effect from the rapid depressurization. This episode showed the real impact of a vacuum, proving that even short exposure can cause intense and weird effects. LeBlanc's incident also reinforced the need for strict safety measures, even in controlled environments. He survived something previously seen as fatal. His experience provided critical data to scientists and proved the surprising resilience of the human body. His story is a reminder that even though space and vacuum are hostile, science and preparation can offer a chance to survive the unexpected. The impact of opening a helmet in space. Taking off your helmet in space would trigger a quick, nearly immediate series of events. First, the air in your lungs would escape uncontrollably, and the oxygen in your blood would be depleted, causing you to pass out in about 15 seconds. Then, the lack of pressure would make bubbles form in body fluids like blood and saliva, giving you the feeling that everything inside you is boiling. This process is fast and brutal, with unavoidable damage to the human body. This overview of the impact shows that a vacuum invades your body in stages, first hitting your lungs and then your blood vessels. While there's no instant freezing, zero pressure turns exposure to space into a high-risk situation. Each effect is a natural response of your body trying to cope with an uninhabitable environment that tests the limits of human physiology. There's no doubt that exposure to a vacuum is both swift and devastating. Human resilience in space. Despite all the challenges and dangers, human resilience in space is amazing. Every mission and astronaut reminds us of humanity's ability to adapt to and face extreme environments. Space engineering has developed suits, equipment, and safety protocols to keep our explorers safe in hostile conditions. Even with the vacuum, zero pressure, and intense cold, humans continue to explore space and find ways to overcome the barriers it presents. Space is the ultimate testing ground for science and human determination. Every breakthrough brings us closer to new discoveries and pushes our limits. Human resilience is our response to the vastness and mystery of the universe. It's inspiring to see how space exploration, once a dream, has become reality through adaptation and innovation. With each mission, humanity redefines the concept of boundaries, always pushing forward with courage and respect for the mysteries of the cosmos. After understanding what would really happen if you took off your helmet in space, it's clear that the universe challenges our bodies in mind-boggling ways. And if a vacuum is extreme, imagine the giant stars that make our sun look tiny. In our latest video, we explore these stellar giants and show why space is a place of almost unbelievable vastness. So, go check it out and be amazed at the size of these stars. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss our latest discoveries about the cosmos.